Welcome to another episode of The Drive. My name is Andy Lack. I'm joined as always by Geoff Fienberg. Geoff, after a wonderful week in Las Vegas, we're heading all the way across the world pretty much to the greater Tokyo area for the ZOZO Championship, the only official PGA Tour event that we have in Asia these days. It's a bigger field than we're used to seeing. A smaller field with bigger names than we are used to seeing. The likes of Xander Schauffele, the likes of Collin Morikawa, Tony Finau will be making his debut. How will Ricky Fowler rebound after a porous Ryder Cup performance? Sung J M, guys like Cameron Davis and Eric Cole are playing some phenomenal golf right now. Keegan is, of course, back to defend his title. Before we dive right into the odds board, Geoff, we are running our usual weekly contest, as always, at Odds Checker. Big money at the top. I would argue that this is probably one of the easier weeks to ship it, given the fact that this is only an 80-man field. You can find all of the info to that in the link in the description, Geoff. So let's dive right into it. Xander Schauffele, 6-1, 7-1. Best number available using the Odds Checker grid is 8-1. Collin Morikawa is following him. Hideki Matsuyama, the guy that I probably should have mentioned first in my intro, who has won this tournament before. We know that he will have the home crowd in his favor this week, as always, and he has rose to the occasion in these circumstances in the past with a win here 2 years ago. Ricky Fowler, Sung J M, Cam Davis, Minwoo Lee coming off a win. Those are the guys that we're looking at in the 20-1 and below category. Anyone catching your interest at the top here, Geoff?
I do acknowledge that I think those two are fairly priced potentially at the top. I think Xander probably does deserve to be in a category of himself. Morikawa and Xander, don't kid yourself, prideful guys. It's been a long time since they've won any tournament. So that's something that I'm certainly, if they're teeing it up in the swing season and traveling, part of their intention is to probably get rid of that little I don't want to call it a curse, but get rid of that before the 2024 real season begins. On top of it, I'm not betting either of them. I'm scared of Xander, and that's low-hanging fruit to say about the favorite. There's been a lot of mud slung in the last couple of weeks. I have thrown some of it. Some of it has probably been very well deserved, but I got a feeling he's going to super motivated to answer that bell. So I've made picks behind, but I am definitely scared of Xander Schauffele this week, Andy.
I think I'm going to just increase your fear by telling you that I rarely ever do this, but this is a single bullet Xander week for me. I bet him at 8-1. You mentioned the press coverage of him coming out of the Ryder Cup. I think a lot of that was due to his rather loquacious father, that Xander probably has something to say about. And guess what? $8.5 million purse this week. Doesn't have to worry about that too much. It's the biggest purse of the fall swing. So you don't really have to be as concerned about maybe the motivation factor that created some of this extra noise at the Ryder Cup. Remember, he was not great at the Ryder Cup. A lot of that was putting. A lot of that also probably contributed to the fact that he was one of the only players in Rome that hadn't made the trip over to see Marco Simone to get those adequate practice rounds. Xander plays this event every year. He has won a gold medal in the Tokyo area. He is a 9th and a 10th here in 2 appearances. He has strong family ties to Japan on his mother's side of the family. His entire family comes out for this one. He loves his bent grass greens. He loves his narrow tree-lined bent grass courses. This is a Harding Park golf course, a colonial golf course. This is very similar to the Japanese architecture that we saw him claim his gold medal on. I'm keeping it really simple this week, Geoff. It's 8-1 Xander for me. He feels destined to win this event. I have bet him every single year at this event. I'm not stopping till I get that Xander victory here, because this one feels written in stone to me.
Okay, so I had no idea you were going to do that. I guess I'm not totally surprised as you were doing that. I want to just double down on him having not won in as long as it's been is like the main is a bigger deal of a motivator than the press. Like I know I threw that in there because now I think it's like a double factor. But for me, like that is the gasoline on why I don't think I am, but why I would lay this price if I had master editing ability to be like, I'm going to pause this and then off the record be like, Andy, maybe I'm going to parlay Xander with my Chargers tonight. Okay. Now we're back to on the record here. That was an unofficial, just do it responsibly. I'll be in my own orbit. Okay, you get a sense of when we're recording this sucker. Moving farther back down the board, Sung Jae Im playing great golf. The week of the Ryder Cup was the second in the Asian game to Siwoo, and they got their military pass. Another second place finish in China last week. He is in form. I'll piggyback that with Min Woo Lee to say he dominated what he just played. I should have that off the top of my head. But for guys that I don't need to worry about acclimating to a time zone, or with all the variables that do exist in this sort of event, they're two guys that I don't need to worry about. If I am going to step in front of Andy and Xander, Sung Jae Im, I've seen it as high as 20. It is starting to slip. Min Woo Lee at 20 would be where I would lay my bets.
So would you say that you prefer Sung Jae and Min Woo to Ricky and Hideki at a slightly shorter price? Because I got to say, I think Hideki at 16-1 is rather fair in this field.
I bet Hideki when he beat Kitchengali waving like the Queen of England here. I'm watching that in the middle of the night. It still tilts me thinking about it. Thank God we closed that out. So, yeah, you could be right, man. The fact that Sung Jae is now sitting at 18 in most places, like that's a pretty cheap tax to be able to get Hideki, who's proven he can do this. You make fair points, and that's something for the audience to strongly consider. Maybe I'm a sucker, though, getting cocky, playing those like slightly deeper prices, but clearly probably less talent. Definitely over Ricky. Definitely.
Yeah.
And that could burn me. I love you, Ricky. Win again. Go do it. Farther down, Andy, you're pretty invested at the top, so there's really nothing you could offer in this mid-range. If I was confident, like I could know an Adam Schenk was going to transition to Japan like beautifully, seamlessly, I'd have interest there. Farther back, Emiliano Grillo, Andy, 50-1 in a field like this. Mm-hmm. Nice tree line. It does feel like it could be a nice
Colonial
situation for Grillo.
Yeah. I agree with you on Grillo. He has a 4th place finish here last year, by the way. I do want to give just a mention to the golf that we're seeing from Cam Davis and Eric Cole right now. Both guys are coming off top 7 finishes at the Shriners. Cam Davis also has a 3rd place finish at the Fortinet. So Cam Davis has finished top 7 in both of his starts this fall swing. Eric Cole has finished top 4 in 2 out of 3 starts this fall swing. Sahith has won. So I just want to give a mention to the golf that Cam Davis and Eric Cole are both playing right now. I probably prefer Cam Davis to Cole, even at slightly of a shorter number. As we move a little bit farther down,
you're going to say Cam Champ, aren't you?
No, never a Cam Champ guy. I think the guy is like gets the least out of his talent out of any professional athlete in sports. Like the guy hits it 30 yards farther than anyone on tour. And can't sniff a top 40. No, I like Svensson a lot. I think it's a good golf course for Svensson. Svensson has had back-to-back top 20 finishes this fall swing, right? He's coming off another solid ball striking performance at the Shriners. I think he finished 16th there. So in that middle tier, it's Svensson, it's Grillo. JJ Spawn's playing some really good golf too, as well. But those would kind of be the guys for me in the middle.
Yeah. See, this event doesn't have the same because, and maybe I'm making it up, like variables that exist, but it's a lot of travel. A lot of guys were in Vegas a week ago. It's just, it's a no cut. It's like free money. So it's easy to see why like anyone would play, even if they're playing well or poorly. I don't have this like feeling that I just need to ride like these sub tier players that I've been backing stateside, like a Sam Ryder,
right?
For example, or a Ben. Like I don't know. I'm not confident in that transitioning. If I get burned by one of these mid-tier guys that flies over there and it all clicks, like I'm just gonna have to accept it.
Right.
Because there's a
Maybe we
lot of
have
guys who are
goggles
really
on
not
coming
on
off.
a lot of guys who are not on my radar at all. And you stress the point of how much form is actually in that chunk behind the favorites. Which let me ask you this:
Mhm.
what do you make of Adam Scott this week? Like, because he's surrounded on the betting board by guys who are in great form. I don't remember stop and start playing. I'm sure
Yeah.
he wears the Uniqlo. Like, I'm sure he's got sponsorship stuff all over Asia. It feels like a mini Hideki situation.
Uh,
Not for not the ability to win, but just like a lot
yeah.
of oblo and
Tentatively, this is a good golf course for Adam Scott. Like he tends to play well on these types of small green, narrow, bent grass, tree line golf courses. As he's gone into the later stages of his career, he's developed into a really solid bent grass putter, really good bunker player, big staple of Japanese architecture is these very heavily bunkered golf courses. And Adam Scott has kind of chipped and increased as his ball striking has fallen off a little bit in his early 40s. He's really been able to scrape by with stronger short game and putting. I do think that will come into handy here.
okay, fade though. Like, is he a total fade for you?
DraftKings, it's a maybe. Obviously not on my outright card because I'm 8-1 Xander single bullet. But like, do I think that Adam Scott should be lower on the odds board than Eric Cole right now? Like, I just think Eric Cole, I know he doesn't have the name brand, but like he's just playing so much better golf than Adam Scott right now, which should be the concern. And I agree with you. Maybe we have goggles on, Jeff, coming off a week where the favorite just took it. And even the second favorite with Ludwig was right there, and he kind of teed off a little bit too early on Sunday and got passed. But this does have the makings to me of a no cut event. You give the best players in the field 4 rounds, the cream usually rises to the top, right? I mean, that's why we've seen players like Xander Schauffele perform so well in these no cut events. Keep in mind, the last time we saw Xander, he rose all the way up the leaderboard to finish second at East Lake, gaining 7 strokes on approach, right? And that was his last individual stroke play start. So I think the aspect of this is a foreign country where experience matters, not so much in the case that the course is super, super difficult to figure out, but just like if you have a game plan when you go to Tokyo, like guys like Hideki and Xander that have played here 3 times, like they know where they're staying. They know what family members are coming with them. They know when to practice. They know where to eat. They know their sleep schedule. Like, do I think that gives them a pretty big built-in advantage over a guy like Akshay, who, has never probably been to Japan in his life, right? Like maybe he's, it's different from if they're just going to play a golf tournament in California this week, Jeff. So I think that's really where the advantage comes in from some of the guys at the top.
And I don't even know if you want to call it a long shot, but as I said, like if I had to pick a player in that mid tier, because we've spoken a lot about the favorites, and I don't think it's really going to get past 30, it would be those 50 to 1s on Grillo, T6, T10, T20, T31, T29 to finish the season. It's not like the scorching form that bled into the win at the Schwab, but it is it's good enough with the 4th place finish that he is my mid carder of this sucker. But I am looking at one of Siwoo or Minwoo to be probably my main pick this week, Andy.
Give a quick shout to Twitter sensation Michael Kim's playing some good golf. I think
and
Michael
I love
Kim,
what he's about on Twitter.
Yeah, I think Michael Kim's gonna have a good week. He posted on X, formerly known as Twitter, about how the tendonitis was feeling the best that it has in months, and he had a nice little finish there at the Shriner. So that will probably do it for us, Jeff. Do we have a tournament next week? Are we in Mexico, or we have an off week? I think we have Mexico next week under a new course, because remember, Liv kind of stole El Camaleon from the PGA Tour.
I should know this, but it's all a bit of a it's all a bit of a blur at the moment.
It's FedEx Cup fall. We're all adjusting. Did you know,
FedEx
Jeff,
Cup
that
fall, they
Tom
switched it
Kim
up.
didn't get FedEx Cup points for winning last week because he's already in the top 50? Did you know that? I was like, wait, so why is he playing? What does this do for him? It doesn't give him FedEx Cup points. I guess obviously the paycheck is pretty nice, but we're still figuring it out as we go. One more reminder to everyone to hit that link in the description to enter into our weekly odds checker contest. Big money, as always, at the top. For me, my name is Andy Lack. That is Geoff Fienberg. Another episode of The Drive in the books. Good luck to you and all of your bets this week at the ZOZO Championship.